Would somebody, since my note taker is not here, would somebody please volunteer to take some notes? Just for until Kathy gets here. I am transcribing it, so I will have that. Thank you, Mary. I much appreciate that. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. Miss Moneybags.
Moneybags. I love it. Oh, goodness.
Is that Moneybags note taker? Or is that?
So, yeah, because she likes to tend the money. So I said, okay, well, today you're going to tend the notes because I don't think I can do everything today.
Okay, all righty then.
So I think Kathy will take care of that. But I am going to give Mary, I am going to give you the ability to let people in if I'm missing somebody here in a minute.
Okay, sure.
Do that. Thank you. Yes, I do. Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy December. How is everybody? I see Gail is all ready to rock there. She's ready to have it rock around the Christmas tree. Joan is getting ready to head off to Ohio tomorrow.
I have my bells.
Right.
Now, what
And
time?
they swing too.
What time, Joan, tomorrow?
In the afternoon, early afternoon. I get in like midnight.
Where are you going?
Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Not a good place to go in the middle of winter. I'm just saying.
Actually, it's not that much colder than here right now.
No,
It'll be cold next week though, because we get
for the
snow.
oops snow. It's always the oops snow that goes, oh boy, we weren't planning on that. But
It's next week, just in time for Christmas. So
Yeah, that'll be fun.
for a while.
Nice.
So
My
we're talking, Joan, we want to connect you and Pam to start talking about San Diego and what's going on there from a numbers perspective and where the budget's at and what we've got to, be focused on. So the three of us probably ought to try and talk, maybe have a chit chat via conference call while you're gone. And then when you come back, there's an IBC meeting at the end of January that maybe we can all have a sit down, the three of us again. So you get to meet Pam.
Hey, finally.
Cool. And I thought Heidi was coming too, but I don't think that Heidi's, she can listen to the recording. I know she's got a lot on her plate right now. So thanks everybody for coming. This is being recorded. It's also being transcribed. So you can at any point in time, I believe anybody can download the transcript if you want to download the transcript before we hang up tonight, just so that you have a copy of whatever it was that we talk about. You will get it verbatim, whereas I don't think Mary's going to do it verbatim. I think Mary's going to do like more like minutes, which is what is all the important stuff. So I think some of the important stuff I shared in the agenda. We need to talk about allocations, and we have and I also want to share with you some of the documents that we need to share with the branch that we've been working on developing over the last couple of months here, probably more like a month, 6 weeks, that we've been working on trying to figure out what exactly to tell the branches. And in the middle of all that, we shifted from campsite to camp doc.
Camp doc.
So that will be our new platform, will be camp doc.
What's camp doc?
And I will share a little bit more about it. You can Google it. It's been approved by the American Campers Association. It is similar to Campsite, but more focused on facilitating medical information. And they are able to do a pre-screening for us. So in doing that pre-screening, we can collect the application and then have the branch coordinators go in and select or work with the system admin, who I will be the system admin this year because Sandy's got other things to do. So I'll work as the system admin for that and work with us to say, this is who this branch coordinator selects to go to that camp. And they can do it themselves or they can have me do it. So to the extent they want to be hands-on, they can be. If they don't want to be hands-on, they don't have to be. And you don't have to get involved in it until it gets assigned to a follow-on session after they select which camper is going to go to. Say, Pat, they have campers that are going to go to UCSD, Whittier, and UCSB. And so they want to assign this camper to go to Whittier and this camper to go to that one. As soon as they assign that camper to you, to your whichever camp it is, we're trying to find out if we can get a 1/1 that you can approve. But in essence, and just to make sure nobody tries to get more than they have been allotted. In most cases in the southern part, just so everybody understands, in the southern part of the state, we're in pretty good shape in terms of capacity. In the northern part of the state, we are in some serious constraints. So, and it's not something that can be shifted from north to south. It's a real issue that we're going to have to figure out there. But in any case, between us, once they're told this is the number of campers you can have, and we'll tell them that in this month. This is the number of campers you can have at this camp. This is the number of campers you can have at this camp today, based on where we're at today. And then they will assign that number. And I obviously will be looking at it to make sure they don't exceed whatever the allocations are that they were given. And then they will, basically, they'll be the people that are making the call to assign them to a camp. And then you will have access to all of their records from the application forward. So anything that was in the main session, you will now have access to.
And what did you call that site again?
Camp Doc.
Camp Doc.
DOC.
DOC, all
Okay.
one word, Camp
Oh,
Doc.
Camp Doc, one word.
Yep, one
Okay.
word.
Thanks.
And there.
And how do we log into that, or?
So what's going to happen is everybody will get the same link, which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
And depending on what access that you, so other than obviously the primary administrator, I'll get one, and then we'll set people up with user privileges. So you'll have user privileges that will give you access to specific records that will enable you to only look at, say, your camp records versus having to sort through everybody's camp records to figure out what's going on. The branch coordinators will have access to their records. That will happen once everybody's been assigned out to camps. So in the beginning, during the application phase, we have to use a system of tagging where we will send reports similar to what we did a couple of years ago, and even last year in Campsite, where you had to send reports to people that here is what, here's your applications. So it will be giving them access, giving the branch coordinators access so that they can see only their applications through a system of tagging. And so that will be a little bit different than what we had in Campsite last year. This will be allow us to work with each of the branches and make sure that they can log in and see what they need to see about their camper, versus last year always having to go back through either me in Red Cap or go through the camp director or Sandy or me in Campsite. So this gives them a little bit more visibility. And so can I ask if we just save questions for now? And what we've been working on, I was sharing with several people. We spent about 4 hours today. I spent on the phone, Kathy and I, with Sandy and Dawn, trying to work through so they understand the process well enough to be able to communicate it effectively to the branch coordinators, and so that we can communicate things. But you are the starting point, this committee, and especially the camp directors, because we want you out in front of the message. We don't want you behind and having people come to you and say, this is what I heard, or whatever. So we want everybody here in this group to be on the front end of what the messaging is. So at the very end of our 4 hours today, they said, well, why don't you share with the team what we've been working on? And I said, well, that's a great idea. So let's do that. Let me move my little.
So we're not using campsite at all? Not for application, like our junior counselors, nothing?
No, we're going to use Camp Doc. And so the staff, the counselors, there's a lot more flexibility actually in Camp Doc to use it. And so it will be, I think it'll be the same link as what the campers get or the parents get. And so it will be, and they'll just log in, and they'll log in as a volunteer instead of as a camper or whatever. I forget what language we're going to use. Yeah, you have a question, Martha?
Yeah, will the 2021 campers who want access to the campsite for their photos, will they still have access for a period of time, or what's the status on that?
That's a good question. We can download all of the photos. So we can download the photos, and we probably could upload them to some, private, separate application where they will be accessible to them. And it's possible that it could be Google, but any of the photos anything that was uploaded, we can get down up until March. So we will close things out by March in terms of what they're looking for. So let's look at this. Okay. So this is basically, this is all the pretty words that they want to talk about. And I'm okay if you want to take the time, to read through the whole thing, or we can talk about some of the highlights of it. But basically, we wanted to lay the framework for this change here. We're going to change the camp software, and along with that, we're going to change some of the processes. And we've been talking through this for the last couple of months. We've been talking with the branch coordinators, basically, because the biggest difference is probably going to be to them. To us on the camp side, there is going to be a little bit more flexible for us, but it's still a tool that we're going to use to manage our day-to-day processes. And I think it will be more flexible. I think we'll find that it's more flexible and easier to tag, for instance, a girl, have a drop down that's all of your courses, and to tag a girl with one of those tags, and then you group everybody together that has in a staff member, and you group everybody together that has similar tags. So I think it's going to be a lot more easier to try and figure out how to do things. So, the initial plan was just to rinse and repeat. That's what we plan to do. Reuse RedCap. And we talked about that in the annual meeting. We talked about that with the branch, at the branch kickoff. And then we started having conversations with the folks at Camp Doc, because if they could do the front end of it, that would really help us get to a single point solution. We were pretty confident, even if we could have gotten the front end of campsite figured out, there were too many other issues with it, with us not being able to provide stakeholder specific responsibility, to assign responsibilities, such as whose records you can see, for instance. So all of that was really an important thing that was challenging to try and manage. Yeah, Mary. Did you have a question? No? Okay. So, and we still, and even with the two of them, even though it was a nice bandage that at least we knew how to apply it. We thought we had our arms around, okay, we have to fix a couple of things. We can do that. But then I got a note through the Tech Trek email from Camp Doc, who was a provider that we had considered in the past. And I just happened to send them a note and say, hey, is there any chance you can help us on this front end, and that you could help us on the front end by January? Do you think there's a snowball's chance in Southern California that it would be something that would be doable or even feasible? And they came back and said, yeah, we think so. So Sandy and I met with them a couple times. We talked to them, we laid out our spec, we've given them all of the documents they need to look at to say, here's what we need to build the system. They're planning to give us a test system on right after Christmas. And we have a little bit of time to go back to take a look at it and say, here's what we think about what they've laid out. And then we'll go live at the end, towards the end, not all the way to the end, but somewhere between the middle and end of January with the branches. What we found last year in doing what we had in place, there was a lot of workarounds that we have to do, and there are a lot of workarounds we could continue to do. And there's always going to be workarounds to try and get things done. We thought we would be able to get them to get us to Camp Doc to get us out by the middle of January, the 15th, but they came back yesterday and said, we think it's going to be closer to the 25th because of the holidays. And yeah, we get it. So I think that will still be doable. It's certainly tolerable. And we're talking about potentially having the applications come in by the end of February. I think were some of the dates that we talked about, that those were, but that again is up to the branch to figure out what your whole process is, knowing that you need to deposit your funds by this date and you need to have your name selected by this date. So, each camp will have a session, but everybody's going to be in that general session at the beginning. So all the campers will be there. All the branches will be there, and they are all the potential campers. So anybody who completes an application, not anybody who is nominated, anybody who completes an application. So we are not tracking nominations. Last year, I think I showed the funnel to everybody. We start out with 1,500 nominations and we go down to 1,000 applications and we go down to 750, 700 selections that are either alternates or campers. And so that's an okay one. Going from 1,000 to 750 is manageable. When you go from 1,500 nominations and 500 of them never really amounted to anything, you're basically keeping record space for nothing and paying for it. And this application, by the way, Camp Doc, cost-wise, is on a per participant basis. This is not like Campsite was not on a per participant basis. So it was on a tool and we could have an unlimited, it was on a monthly fee with an unlimited number of participants. Somebody said something in the chat. Let's see. Yes, and what we'll do is we have, I think we mentioned it in here, Diane asked the question, so branches will keep track of their own nominations. Yes, and so We talked down here about the camper nomination application and selection process. So we're not going to collect them in the system. We can manage them. We'll have it available in branch resources. So there'll be a one that you can download, branches can download, and they can use that to track if they want. Or if in many cases, the branches are like, no, I'm pretty cool with sending the link when the time comes, telling my teacher I'm going to send them the link and they can forward it, and they're happy to forward it. In some cases, not. Some branches want to do it themselves. That's their prerogative to do it themselves. And so the branch needs to work with the school to figure out who's going to do that. Are you going to do it, branch, or are you going to ask your school to do it? And it will be something as simple as, here's the 5 fields that need to be input when you create your profile. Put these 5 fields, make sure that these are the fields that you select in the drop down, and hopefully they're going to be able to preload a lot of the things related to schools and branches, because we have those data, a lot of those data. And if there are new schools that come in, they'll be able to enter that new school and select a branch. So it's going to be really important that they follow instructions. And in either case, whether a teacher tells the parent, or whether the branch coordinator tells the parent. So, yeah, Mary.
So if I understand correctly, you're saying that the branch coordinators will get the link to the nominations,
Yes.
and some of the information may already be in the pages or the drop down. And then we can forward that to our teachers to have them complete it, or we can
No,
complete it
you
ourselves.
forward it to the teachers, and the teacher has to forward it to the parent.
Okay,
So either you forward it to the parent, if they've given you a spreadsheet with the parent's name on it,
okay,
you can forward it to the parent if that's what you want to do. Or you can forward it to them and have them forward it to the parent, which some teachers and schools prefer to not send you contact details without asking the parent first if they can send them their contact detail. You know, it's one of those privacy things. Some of them are a little funny about that.
Mhm.
So, in any case, I mean, and so this letter, we're working through the whole process and basically the branch coordinators are going to get a version of this letter. We wanted to make sure that this committee and the camp directors got it first and saw what was coming out and what we're going to be communicating to the broader community. At this point, I don't want to get into any discussion about the process per se. Yeah, Martha, this will be available to you like tomorrow or the next day or something. It'll be shared with you so that you'll be able to comment further on it. But it is, this is something that's basically going to be a guideline, and that's about it. Yeah, Martha.
Yeah, well, I can probably wait then, Mary. I was a little confused in terms of the nominations, and whether if there's a form that we are going to standardize to use, or if we can use forms that we've used in the past.
You can use forms that you've used in the past, or we're going to provide you the same form that we've used in the past. That's the one that's going to be available to download if somebody doesn't have one and they want one. Right? So it's up to you. It's going to be really trying to return it back to the branches to make to work that out with their schools.
So Mary, all this information you're sharing is going to be on Google Docs, correct? That we can.
Yes, this will all be on Google Docs, and you'll get an email with links, and much of it right now, by the way, Sandy's already, at least one person has asked me. Sandy has already, I thought I had it there. I don't. She's already uploaded it to the internal tech track. So if you go to the AAUW California page and then go up to the top to projects and hit the drop down with tech track, what you're going to see in there are the resources that you're going to be able to share with branches. So the flyer, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through them here. We've shared them, Mary, with you already. We showed you the flyer last week. I think we went through the flyer, the letter, a lot of those documents. They're all available now for downloading. But while we work on redesigning the website, they're just kind of stored there. So there's a list of documents available there that people should be able to log into with that AAUWCA, you know, that just all lowercase AAUWCA. And so that link again, and we want it to be, you know, it's not a public link, so it's not something that we necessarily want on the external facing site per se, but it will, we don't necessarily want somebody to go in and to try to sign up for the session. So it's not something that we want to share broadly beyond whoever the teachers are nominating. Although I did see something somewhere, just something to think about. I understand that there may be other organizations in the past who have funded camperships, and obviously this is not the year to look at that, but that on occasion there are organizations that we work with that are not AAUW branches that may actually fund campers. The camp may actually fund campers if you wanted to fund your own campers with excess funds or provide sponsorships for campers. So this is probably not the year, like I said, because we are full, more than full this year, but that's something to also think about if you at some point want to partner with somebody for a facility or something to do and in return give them a camper. I don't know. So timing wise, things will start happening in January. Again, we're talking about having applications due. You have to throw a dart at something and say, let's pick this date. February 28th is kind of the date we're looking at. Some branches are going to want to do it earlier. Some branches are going to want to do it later. We're not going to lock anybody out. But we have to pick some kind of a date and time for different things to happen. And so that is going to coincide with we figure February 28th will coincide with March 15th being able to kind of say, all right, I have enough applications for what I committed to in my MOU. I said I wanted X campers. I have enough applications to satisfy X campers. I'll send my check in. And so I know there are a lot of branches that want to wait until they have all the campers selected, but that's, could be a month later. So you have to kind of put a stake in the ground. You can find out how much money you have. The branches can find out how much money they have in a camp to potentially spend and how much they're going to have to raise additionally. And so, but there's still going to be flexibility even then that we've been talking about. We have to have some flexibility in the system. So the point is that, you make your selections by April 15th. The campers then will have, parents will have, we're going to tell them at the end of April, we want their commitment that they're going to start doing this. And then they have to get all of their paperwork in by 2 weeks before camp, just like the way it's always been.